Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. We will be covering everything and who qualifies for the VA loan. Thank you so much, Yvette, for coming today. If you can tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Thank you for having me, Vienna. Well, I'm Ivette Bierly. I am a mortgage broker. I work for Barrett Financial. I have been in the industry in some way or form. I have been in the industry since 1995. So
We have
I have
experts.
seen a lot. I've seen a lot. I have been mentored by many and have been able to help amazing families accomplish their home buying journey and goals, right? So I love what I do. I'm a mother and wife.
Thank you. That is good to know. So that means that we have someone that is very knowledgeable and is definitely an expert in this field. So we will have great answers for questions. But
Hope
let's
so.
start with the basics. In simple terms, what is a VA loan and who is eligible?
So a VA loan, and in my opinion, I think VAs are amazing loans. I'm a fan. I am not able to leverage a VA loan, but a veteran can leverage a VA loan. So, for example, someone who is in active duty, somebody who is in reserve, or somebody who is retired or honorably discharged. So, VA can be used with the veteran and a spouse.
How does the certificate of eligibility work and how does a buyer get one?
So a certificate of eligibility is essentially tells us what the veteran is eligible for. It'll tell us the eligibility. It will tell you if you're an exempt veteran. So if you've been declared with a disability through VA and there's a certain percentage, then they will exempt you for certain things like VA funding fees. You don't pay for VA funding fees when you're an exempt veteran. So the certificate of eligibility is something the lender will acquire. The veteran can request it as well, but usually the lender requires it, and it's very simple. We just need very basic information: name, date of birth, and social. And VA will send it to us. A VA funding fee is essentially a fee that VA has. You pay it one time. It gets financed into your loan, but it has tiers. So if you've used it, if it's your first time using it, if you've used it multiple times, there's a percentage, right? So that percentage, it's kind of like think of it like a protection insurance for in the event the loan forecloses or something, the person can't repay. So that VA funding fee is charged and it's financed into the loan. So if somebody is purchasing a home for 350,000 and that VA funding fee is 5,000, then they'll finance 355,000.
Got it.
And it covers the veteran. But when you're exempt, which will pull off of the certificate of eligibility, when you're an exempt veteran, then that VA funding fee is removed.
So since you have touched base with it could be for the veteran, can the partner actually be included in this, whether it's the eligibility for the income, maybe qualifying towards the loan, or how does that work with the spouse?
So if you are married, you can do a VA loan. Your veteran does the VA loan, and we can include the income for the spouse, qualification, the debt, everything. They qualify together on the loan together with no problems.
Does the BAH have anything to do in the qualification process of it with the VA?
Absolutely. Yes.
How can you handle qualifying active duty buyers who are mid-PCS? They have their orders though. Whenever someone is moving from one duty station, so one from one base to a different base, in order to completely know that they are moving to this new relocation, they get what is called orders.
Yep.
To my understanding, we can't leave unless we have those orders. So I feel that it would be something important to have before you can apply for the purchase of the home.
And in actuality, they'll require us to have it on the LES.
Correct.
The LES is your pay stub per se,
Yes.
right? And so your LES will specify what your orders are. And so as a lender, we want to make sure that you have started at that new location.
Yeah.
So it can be day one, but we need to know that it has started. In some cases, some lenders will actually require the LES to already reflect it.
Correct.
We'll ask for the orders and we'll ask for the LES,
Mhm.
and that way. And like I had one that he was coming down from Washington and he was going here to Mesa, and his officer was like, gave me a letter, but the bank still didn't take it.
Mhm.
That this would be when he would start,
Mhm.
and they still wouldn't take it. They wanted it on the LES.
Having those orders also gives the lender more direction into how much the BAH will be in the new state. Every state has a different BAH, so that means that they could qualify potentially for less, since it's different everywhere.
Or more.
Mhm.
Some states have more. But you're absolutely right, because VA are only for primary residences,
Yes.
right? So you have to buy and work in the state you're in the state you're living in. So the orders and the LES are the only two things that we're going to have as proof
Mhm.
that that's where they've transferred them to.
So let's say they're not moving right away. What would be obtained from the soldier or the commander per se in order to get the permission to purchase a home, knowing that it will be primary residence, but they are not moving six
Yeah.
months from now,
So
so to speak?
a lender can pre-qualify a buyer knowing that this is where they're going to be, right? In the sense of getting ready. We promote that a lot, right? Let's get ready. Let's look
Yes.
at your options first. Let's make sure your credit is in line. Make sure that your income's good. So if the veteran already has a hypothetical and knows where they're going to be transferred to, we can work off of that verbally. But the lender will not issue the full approval
Mhm.
until we have the actual orders and the LES to have the matching information so we can actually close on the loan. But any lender can qualify the veteran with, okay, this is what your ranking is, because that's all normal, right? Based
Yes.
on your ranking.
Yes.
And then if you're moving to this area, then that BAH will be X amount. Yeah.
Okay, so sellers sometimes hesitate on VA offers. Why would that be a huge thing for a seller to be able to accept or want to accept someone with a VA loan?
I see that too. And I think it's a misconception because they feel that VA appraisals are a lot stricter. And although VA loans can have extra steps, and that's why a lot of people are afraid of them. A lot of lenders, believe it or not, don't like to really do them because they can be complicated. There's extra steps that you have to take. But when you're working with an experienced lender, just a few steps. They're easy. You know what you're getting, you know what you're expected to do and you do them. The same goes with the appraisals. It's no different than an FHA appraisal. We have to make sure that the home is, health and safety. It doesn't have hazardous. It's not a strict. There's a myth that values are lower on government loans, VA or FHA. That's not true. They're not. So sometimes sellers, the one thing that is maybe a separate from a VA to a regular loan is there's called VA non-allowables. There are non-allowable fees that uh, a veteran can't pay. So those are all either on the lender to pay
Mhm.
or the seller. But most of those fees we cover with the seller credit anyways when we're negotiating that with the offers, right?
Mhm.
When you're getting the seller to help with some closing costs. But that would be the only thing. There it really is a misconception because it's no different than any of the other loans we have.
Maybe it's just because people think that the house needs to be in perfect condition or brand new, so to speak. Reality is just for being able to be inhabited.
Right. And
That makes
health and
sense.
safety things. So your pool can't be empty and green, that kind of stuff. You can't have wires hanging off the walls and exposed. You can't have things that someone could trip over and hurt themselves. You broken windows, those kinds of things, right?
Which is
So,
normal.
which is all normal. You're going to see that on FHA loans as well.
Mhm. So one question that I had personally myself is, can you use the VA loan more than once? And what is the process or how does the restoring of the entitlement actually work?
So, yes, you can use your VA more than once. You can buy a home VA, sell it. When you sell it, your entitlement becomes available again, and then you can buy another house. And you can also purchase more than one home and have more than one VA loan at a time. So that will all depend on your entitlement and the maximum loan amount that you can have for that county or that area.
Mhm.
And so based on that, then we can decide what price point you can purchase.
Yeah.
I did a loan for a gal who was doing her third VA loan and she was within her entitlement. And you can to do the VA loan at 0% down. She was able to purchase 3 different properties that she had bought the prices were a lot lower, so she was able to acquire that. So yes, you can. Don't let somebody tell you you've used your VA and you can't use it anymore. That's not true. You can do it. And entitlement essentially comes back once, as long as you comply and you don't foreclose or you don't default on the loan, you can go in and reuse it once it's available again. So it kind of starts all over.
Is an entitlement per property?
The entitlement is from the veteran. The
Yeah.
veteran has an entitlement amount,
Mhm.
and then it's all based on the loan amount, how much of that entitlement you're using. Easy.
The next thing for me that I have recently learned with the purchase of our home is VA loans do not have a PMI.
Right?
And also, what does a buyer save monthly compared to an FHA or a low down conventional?
So VA loans are great for many things, but in my opinion, the fact that it has no mortgage insurance, we don't penalize the veteran for doing 0% down. We don't penalize them in two ways: higher rates or mortgage insurance. So I think that is the cream of the crop, right? That is the best part of VA loans. They are amazing for that because they really look after the veteran and they say, no, we're not going to. Because when you go do 100% financing or a down payment assistance program with 0% down, almost always there's a higher interest rate.
Yes, there's
Sometimes,
always a caveat to
yeah,
why
there's
they're
always.
giving you a benefit.
Exactly. VA doesn't do that. VA will still give you an amazing rate. And on top of that, you will not have mortgage insurance. So on an FHA, mortgage insurance is 0.55% of a loan, of the amount of the loan. And then we take that monthly, and that's what the client will pay every single month. VA, it's zero. It doesn't even exist. It's not there. So when you're looking at your monthly payment, it's principal and interest, property taxes, and then homeowners insurance. That's your fire insurance. That's covering the house itself. Someone gets hurt on your property, but no mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is there on the other loans like FHA, conventional, and USDA to protect the lender if the owner is not able to repay. VA says, no, we're not going to charge you that monthly. So it makes it so affordable for the veteran. And it can save someone, depending on the loan, it's right a percentage, like I mentioned, but it can save someone 150 and higher in a monthly payment. So it's absolutely the way to go. If you have a VA, never ever let a lender discourage you using it.
I heard about something called IRRRL, and I believe it has to do with refinancing
Absolutely.
with the VA loan.
Yes.
What exactly is that?
It is a streamlined refinance. So what it says is, okay, Mr. Veteran, here you have gotten, you have a loan, you have a certain interest rate. Interest rates have dropped. We want you to take advantage of that lower interest rate. So as long as we can show that you are current on your monthly payments, and we'll go ahead and ask refinance as a streamline refinance and get you a lower rate. Now, it does have to be a benefit to the refinance. Right. We can't just refinance you to just drop you $20. That's not going to be tangible benefit. But absolutely, IRRRLs are amazing once we take advantage of those when rates do drop or low or come down.
Significant. Yeah. What is one piece of advice that you would give a service member or veteran who thinks that they cannot buy
VA is honestly is very lenient in a lot of categories, just like because it's a government loan, it has that VA funding fee. um some people think, oh, I don't have enough credit, and that's not true. um my biggest piece of advice is reach out to a lender, ask them about VA loans, get a sense of how comfortable they are with VA, because I have seen some pretty challenging loans, per se, maybe for credit or things like that, and VA will still accept them. So I encourage, if you are trying to buy a home or you're trying to look at that path first and see what options you have. It may not take you a lot to just get it in line and quickly, and you might be eligible to do it in a couple months. Have some pretty amazing and lenient guidelines on some things that I would definitely recommend the veteran to inquire about. It's just speaking to a loan officer would be my biggest my biggest push to say,
Mhm.
look, let's just have a conversation. Let's
Yeah.
see where you stand.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming and talking to me today, Yvette. I really
Right.
appreciate it. I hope that everyone takes all the information as good and as educational and inviting that they can, because I feel that there's a lot of people that do not know all the benefits, and I'm sure there's more than what we talked about today.
Yes.
So if you have any questions, definitely ask us. I will leave all of her information below for you to be able to contact her.
I'm here to help. Thank you
Thank you
for
so
having
much.
me.
I really appreciate it.